Hi, today we will learn about the information and technology. In that section we will learn HTML. We will do some exercises on this and we have to know some basic concepts of HTML, and we have to know all the terms which are existed in HTML programming. We will learn some basic concepts, we will do some exercises on those, and what are the basic things to know to do language in a HTML. So, whatever the terms we are using in a HTML, we will do some exercises on that. So, first of all we will learn about the introduction. What is in introduction? In introduction, the history of the HTML, how it is found and who are the founder of the HTML and what is the basic requirement comes from the HTML, and all the basic things, whatever the languages we are using and what is the basic thing in HTML, and by using HTML where we are using this into server side as well as the cluster client side programming languages. So, actually by using of HTML, this is the basic thing to know to do the web technologies and web programming. Whenever you want to do website and you are going to run some web pages on your website, so basic thing you should know web pages, that is defined in HTML only. And by using of HTML, lot of technologies comes to the picture for the web programming, such as ASP.NET, PHP. These are the best examples. Nowadays we are using these kind of web programming languages. All the web programming languages which are existed in the real time now, which are found from the HTML only. So, basic thing HTML. If you know the HTML, you can do good web programming languages and you can do websites thoroughly. Okay. We will go for the basic introduction of HTML. So, what is HTML and how we will use in this HTML programming languages, and how can we mark and how can syntax those language syntax related things, and what are the codes, what are the tags we are using in this language, and we will show and we will do some exercises on this. So, first of all we should know the introduction of the HTML. So, what is HTML and what we will use in this HTML, and by using of HTML what we will do, and the basic advantages and disadvantages of HTML, all those things we will learn in the introduction part. So, what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. What it means? Hypertext means combination of two other pages, that means communication between other pages. This is called as hypertext. And how can we define the markup? Markup means some kind of embedded tags or codes which are existed and which we want to show in a web pages, that comes under markup. So, you can know the language, we have some protocols to do that language. So, coming to the web programming, we should know the basic concept is HTML. So, what it is exactly? By using of HTML, how can I do and how can I show the web pages into a website? So, that is based on some of the tags and codes which are existed in the HTML language. So, we should know about those tags as well as the codes. And what are the tags? Tags are basic things which are not existed in display pages, that should be existed in the backend pages. When you refer or when you show in a programming, you will use as a tags in a language programming, but you cannot see in the display pages, that is called web pages. So, what it is exactly? So, basic things or standard programming language to show up or to display our web pages in a web programming or websites, that is called or that is the best example, or that is the best advantages of HTML. If you know the HTML, you can do the web pages and you can create the websites your own, and you can use in a real time advanced web programming languages such as ASP.NET, PHP. These are the best examples nowadays. This HTML programming is used. So, what is the basic things to know while doing the HTML programming? You should know the HTML syntax, and that is under quotes as well as the tags. So, we should know about those things. If you know those, then you can easily do that HTML programming. So, what are these? Actually, how the files should be existed in our system or existed in a web servers, that are only the plain text files which are with the extension of .html as well as the HTML. These are the plain text files. What are these existed in this? These existed with the tags as well as the codes. So, all the codes as well as the tags should be existed in the plain files which are formatted with the .html or .htm. So, how can I display this information onto our websites as well as in our web browsers? So, based on the tags only, those information can be displayed on the web screens as well as the websites. So, we should know about this structure. How can I show that particular things or particular context in a web browser depends on your combination of structure. Whatever you are using the structure, based on the structure only you can show the websites or web pages onto your internet. So, you should know, you should describe the structure of the web pages. So, after description of your structure, you should know what kind of elements should I use for my requirements. What are the requirements? Just like suppose you want to show your college logo on your website. So, you should know how can I define that logo and how can I create that logo and how can I use the tags reference to that logo. So, you should know about the thing, then only you can display on your websites. So, this related to elements. So, elements comes under tags as well as the codes. So, these are the backend pages which are existed in the plain pages, that is formatted with the .html or .htm files. So, based on the tags as well as the codes, these are the building blocks for the HTML pages. So, you should know about the elements where we will do some syntax and some do programming on those things, then we will show those pages into our websites. So, based on those things, we will do some programming as well as we will do some exercises on those things. We can create after this session or whole HTML session, we will have some confidence on creation of websites by using this HTML programming, other than the other extracted programming languages. Also we can do this. We will create some static websites using this HTML sessions. So, actually what is the history of this HTML, Hypertext Markup language, how it is found, and what is the reason behind this foundation of this HTML. So, we should know about those things. So, actually Bernal is the person who implemented this HTML programming in 1990s. Actually, the basic concept of this is, so he wants to communicate or he wants to connect to two pages. Whenever he wants to use one page to another page communication, he implemented that language for that requirement. So, that is the main purpose and that is the behind of the story by implementing of this HTML language. So, after this, actually the basic language, when he found that language is implemented as SGML. What it is exactly? Standard Generalized Markup Language. So, he implemented as standard generalized things. So, he created a one page and redirect to another page by using a first page. This is the basic requirement he did. So, after that he marked as HTML language. So, Hypertext Markup Language. So, he renamed with some HTML by using some extended concepts of HTML. What it means? Nowadays we are using some regular things and coming requirements. So, he implemented lot of advanced concepts and added some advanced topics. So, that comes under HTML by using of XML concepts. What is it? What it is exactly? XML. What it is? So, XML is an object where we can send through the internet, through the net, one computer to another computer. That means suppose we are creating some web page in our computer, so you want to show that page or content to the internet or other person by using of this HTML as well as the embedded with the XML files, XML language. So we should know about the HTML basic things. After that we will use that XML files, and by using XHTML we will push up or we will send some XML documents towards the recipients. So this is the basic history of the HTML. But after implementation of HTML, lot of advanced programming languages are implemented based on the HTML only. So we should know about the basic things of HTML, then we will do some web programming with the advanced programming languages such as ASP.NET, PHP, and some JavaScripts related things, JSF pages, all those things, Ajax, jQuery, these are the advanced web programming languages. So we should know about the HTML, then we will use all the HTML tags into our web programming language, advanced web programming languages. So this is the basic history of the HTML. Actually, how this HTML web pages processed into our websites, we should know about these things. How we will do that, and what are the dependent components to display our web page into our internet. So we should know about that thing. So once we have two kind of things in programming language. One thing is client side, as another one is server side. So whatever the programming language is implemented in a web programming, so first thing is client side as well as then server side. What it will do? Client will request and server will process that particular request. Here you can see I have created one file that is comes under HTML, that such as form. Form is one kind of element which is existed in HTML. So I have created one form which is a HTML file. So once I implemented that form and pushed into our HTTP server. Once that server is connected with the client, that is browsers, that is through the internet. Once the user wants to open or display or wants to show that particular page, he will enter the site or he will enter the URL name in a web browser. Then automatically it will connect to HTTP server, which is actually our HTML page. So this is the flow of the HTML page where we can show up or where we can display our page into our website. So this is the main flow of the programming language of HTML. So just I explained what it is client side and what is server side. So client means whatever the programming language wants to send some data into our websites, that is comes under client application. So what it is exactly? He will create a request and he will do some programming language for request creation, then sends the particular request to the server. After that sending of request, he will wait or it will wait for the reply of the acknowledgement for that particular request, and it will blocks for some time or some session to that reply. So once the request will received with the server will process that particular request by that from the server side programming language. It will never blocks some session or time span to do that process, and it will reply automatically or do some exercise, then it will reply to the client by some operation or some process to the client, and server can reply multiple requests. It will send multiple responses to the multiple clients at a time. This is called concurrent programming, or you can say parallel programming of server side languages. So we should know about some logical things to do concurrent replies or concurrent acknowledgement to the clients. So this is all about the client as well as the server side programming languages. So other than this, so how can we do that programming under HTML as well as the server side as well as the client side programming languages? How can we do, and what are the basic syntax? How can I know the error things as well as the exception things? And while doing some programming languages, we should know how to use the editors which are compatible with or easily manipulate. Easily you can use or you can utilize the things of programming syntax things. So you should know about the editors. What it is editor? Editor will do some syntax related things, or you can write some text related to programming language, that is called editor. So we should know about the editors while doing some programming language. Coming to our HTML, so HTML is also a language, so we should know what is the good editor to use or create a HTML pages. So one is the best example is Notepad. What it is? Notepad is one kind of software where I can write some content or text into our notepads with the extension of .html or .htm. Then I will save that files in my computer, as well as after the completion of my static website, I will upload that particular web pages into our web server. Then automatically that is comes under websites. Then I can easily access that web pages by using these things. So we should know about the editors first thing. So whenever you are using the editors, so what is the best use of the editors? We can know the syntax as well as we can easily correct our errors or exceptions, or we can test our code by JUnit codes. So line by line we can test that particular things. So this is the best use of editors. So nowadays lot of editors are in our market. So best editors are Eclipse. Eclipse is the best editor where we are using for doing some web programming languages, such as you can say JSP, JSF, that is related to Java programming server faces, as well as the AngularJS, as well as the PHP. All those things we can do with the Eclipse. Another one is IntelliJ. IntelliJ is also a best IDE, you can say best editor that can be used for HTML pages as well as the ASP or PHP, whatever the web programming what we want to use. So these are the best things you can do, or you can do some programming with these editors. So we will see or how can we use that editors by using some example here. So I will show how can we use the particular editor, and how can I show particular after editing the particular file, and how can I see in a web browser. We will see that particular example here. This is the one editor which comes under online. You can write your code in an online text editor. This is one of the Notepad editor which we are where it is using W3 schools. So this is also a one editor where we can put our content of related to HTML. Then we will run this code by using of this run button. Then we will see the output under this page. So this is the best online editor we will use, or we will do some practice sessions on these editors only. Once I run this page, then automatically I can see some page here. This is actually comes under web pages. So we will do some exercise by using these editors only. Suppose I want to change some pages here. So once I change this, then automatically that will reflect on this page. Actually this page comes under websites. So this is the one editor you can say one best example to do in online. So this is the one example. So after this, so we will do some exercise by using our Notepad things. So how can we do that exercise? So, we should know the basic things to do HTML, but we do not know about till now. So, we will do some exercise, how can we create a program and how can we run that program and how can I see that page in our browsers. So, this is the way. So, first you have to open the editor. The best example for the editor is Notepad. Notepad, we will use that Notepad editor for our exercises. So, first I will open the text editor and I will write some HTML syntax or some content of related to HTML, and I will save with page .html extension. This is the important thing. You should know about this thing. .html is the extension of the HTML pages. So, after that I will start that particular page into our browser. Then automatically I will display, or I can see whatever I entered into a page or HTML file, I can see easily. So, this is the way we will do some exercise on this. Okay. This is the Notepad editor, you can see in your computer. So, I have opened that particular Notepad and I am writing some code into this editor. So, after this we should after this we should save this file with the extension of .html. We should know about that thing. So, while saving that file, I am entering with the format HTML. So, I am saving with this colons. So, once I save that file, I can see that extension .html, capitals or smalls, no worry about that. So, once I have saved the page with the extension of HTML. So, I want to open that file, actually that is on documents. Okay. So, I will go to documents, so I can see that page here. So, you can see the automatically that icon will appears on the page. What it means? Supported or default browser can see, and you can open that file into our browser. That is the next step of our creation of HTML first program. So, once click on your page, you can see that whole context which are written in our HTML. You can see that whole thing in the web browser. This is the web URL you can see that comes, and you can see that particular things in a web browser. This is the way we will do some exercise, or we will create some pages, HTML pages, and we will see the output in our browser. So, what is the flow, or what are the steps to create a HTML pages? First you have to open the editor and you have to enter some content related to HTML. After that, entering the content, you have to save the file with the .html extension. That you should remember. After that saving of that file, then open that file using web browser, or you can see that default web browsers. Then you open that web page or HTML page into our browser. Then you can see whatever you have written in HTML files. This is the way of doing some HTML web pages or creation of HTML pages. So, next we will learn what is the basic structure and how can I follow some syntax or some tags to use, and what is the flow or what is the steps I have to use, or what are the requirements to do this kind of programming, HTML programming pages. So, this is the one example, or just we did now. We should know or we should follow this syntax, this kind of skeleton we have to use or we have to follow for HTML programming. So, first thing is doc type. Doc type is related to what kind of compatibility you are using for your web programming languages. You can say the pre-decision or pre-installation of your web pages. Next, you can see that HTML tag. HTML tag is a basic thing to do a root tag, you can say. So, we should enter that HTML tag with the end syntax. You can see /HTML in the bottom, that is the end tag, and first one is the start tag. After that, you can see that head tag. Head tag, what it is head tag? Head tag is related to your page. You can say what are the content you are using, and you can say what kind of author you are designing, particular author name you can see, and you can see the title name, and you suppose you want to add some scripts or some kind of animations or some kind of digitalized things you can mention here. So, this is comes under head page. So, after that you can see that body tag, body tag with some end tag as well as the start tag. This is the body where the important thing, this is the main structure, or you can say main content you have to use whatever you want to do some display content in a web pages. This is the where we can change all the things which are displayed in a web pages, we will do in a body, start and end tags in between that. So, you can see that H1 is a first heading. You can say headings H1, H2, H3, these are the different type of headings you can say. What it means, suppose you want to show some college name in a heading 1. So, you can use that H1 tag. So, you can see that heading college name as bold letters in a big text. So, after that you can see that paragraph related things, what it is exactly. Suppose you want to describe your college related information, that comes under smaller text. So, you can use that paragraph related things. Not only this, we have lot of tags to implement our you can say links, as well as you want to show some images, you want to describe some slideshows, you want to update newer things, or you want to show some date related things, or you can show all the digitalized things in a web pages. That comes under body, start and end tag in between that. So, whatever you want to do some code or want to write some content related to HTML, so that comes under body description only. So, all those things are related to HTML. What it is stands for Hypertext Markup Language. In that we should know what is markup. What is markup? Markup is an embedded things to do some programming. So, whatever the embedded things, what are the embedded things here? Codes as well as the tags. Just before this slide we saw HTML and head and title and body. These are the tags, you can say these are the codes. So, these are the basic things or basic tags which we are using, or which we are embedding these codes into our HTML page. So, we should know about those tags. So, after these tags we should know how can I describe those tags into our web HTML program. So, while creating the HTML program, you should know the structure as well as the description of the particular tags. So, suppose you want to write some formula, you can say a plus b whole square equal to a square, some kind of things. So, this can also possible with the statements, with the tags. You can mention some tags related to that, then you can see that formulas into our websites. So, based on these markups, based on these embedded tags, created a language that is called a markup language. These kind of definition or this kind of functionalities we are using in our web pages, that is called hypertext markup language, which is actually a communication between other pages, between all the pages. That is basic thing comes under HTML programming language. Actually, markup languages are two things. What are those? Physical markup languages as well as the logical markup languages. What is the difference between these? Suppose you are writing some tags in a backend. Those tags cannot see in your web pages. This is called logical markup language. What it means? Suppose you are using some tags in your programming file, then that tags cannot see in your web pages. That comes under logical markup language. And what are physical markup language? Whatever the content you are writing in your markup file, whatever the programming file you are writing into that, you can see whatever the content, whatever the formula, whatever the text you are using in your programming file, that should see in your displayed page, web page. So, that is the difference between the logical as well as the physical markup languages. And you can just before this slide I have explained some example related these tags. You can see that HTML slash, and you can see that strong as well as the very is the content where we can see in a web page, and strong is the end tag. You can see this is the end tag as this is the start tag. So, these are the logical things and this is the physical thing. So, you can explain like this. So, how can I use these markup languages into our web programming languages, which we are doing in server side? Server side means processing some logical things. So, what are the different languages we are using for server programming languages? So, some examples are ASP.NET. So, active server pages. Whatever the programming you are doing or whatever the functionality you are doing related to server side, that is ASP language. So, this is actually described by the Microsoft. Microsoft is the best company where we are using nowadays lot of websites comes under .asp extension only. So, this is basically related to server side programming. You can say server side script. So, in ASP programming language, our HTML embedded tags can be used into our ASP programming. So, you should know about the syntax of HTML, then only you can write that ASP.NET programming language. So, first we should know about the HTML. So, another best example is PHP. This is a lightweight programming language, you can say lightweight web programming script, you can say. So, this is a PHP language. Under this PHP also we are embedded HTML tags as well as the HTML files we are using into our web programming real time in these pages by using this ASP as well as the PHP and JSF. These are the basic or best web programming languages we are using in nowadays. You can see 90% of websites comes under these programming languages only. What are those? ASP.NET, PHP as well as the JSF. Whole three languages can be embedded with the HTML only. Once you know about the HTML, you can do all those three languages. So, you can see lot of embedded scripts also. You can mention some scripts into our HTML programming. Just like JavaScript. JavaScript is also one kind of scripting language where you want to do some validations. You can say suppose you want to do some alignment, or you want to make some stylish sheets. Stylish means suppose you want to mark up as smaller big things as well as the coloring things. Suppose you want to create some alignment on those things, so you can use some style sheets as well as some script related things. So you can mention those languages as well as the scripting languages into our HTML programming. So these are the basic things we should know while doing the programming languages. So first we know about the HTML. You can learn all the web programming language where we can do some websites or where we can see all the pages into our websites. So this is the way we will do some HTML programming language. Once I did some programming of HTML files, then how can I put those files into our internet, as well as how can they displayed on the web pages? How can I explain, or what is the flow of that particular thing? So this is the way we can see, or we can say the flow of the HTML pages which we are using to display into our websites. So first you have to create the HTML pages with some content, or by using some content model. Just we see in basic syntax, you can say doc type, HTML, title, that kind of model you have to use. Suppose you are using some script, so for that scripts also you can define, you have to define some content model. Suppose you want to use under ASP or some web programming language, so for that also we have some content model. So you have to define that content model. After that, suppose you want to add some stylish sheets. Suppose you want to share some coloring or alignment or some kind of image related things, slideshows, that kind of stylishness. So that kind of pages also you can add here in a content sync. You can see that CSS are stylish related things, some rules and regulations to do that. So after that, adding all those things into our content model, that comes under frames. What are the frames? Suppose I can explain like this. I have opened one site. Under that site, I can see that college name on top of the web page. After that, I can see some blogs into our websites related to notifications, related to updates, related to management, all those things. These are the different frames you can say. So once you have stylish sheets as well as the content model as well as some script related things, then you can mention into our frame constructor. After that frame constructor, you want to show what is the page you want to show and what is the frame you want to show. That is basically related to a flow. Suppose you want to show home page, suppose you want to show some child page, then you have to create some tree for the frames. You can say header is a one frame and footer is the one frame, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. So you can create a lot of frames in your one page and you can show respectively. After this, all the pages you can have to design some kind of structure. Then you want to some painting, or you want to make some coloring, or you want to some adjustment of those frames, then you can easily see in displayed in our websites. So this is the flow. This is the flow we can show into our websites. So we should know about those things. What is HTML? How can I add that stylish sheets? And how can I create the frames related to notifications as well as the basic requirements? After this, after that frame requirements, I can easily show up my pages into our websites. So this is the basic introduction to HTML programming languages. What we learn in this section related to history of the HTML and related to basic tags of the HTML, and how can I use the different programming languages into HTML as well as the HTML pages into our web programming languages. These are the basic things we have learned in this section. and what is the flow also we can learn here. So we should know all those things, then only we can write some programs in HTML, and we will create some sites, static web pages in using HTML programming languages. So here you can see some syntax just have displayed here. So HTML, what it is exactly? HTML is the declaration for the HTML program, and you can see that head as well as the title. Here we can mention some title names where we can see the title names under web pages. You can see some kind of Gmail, some kind of Google, all those things. You can see all those things under title only. Suppose you want to write some content into our body, or you want to show some images into our pages. So that comes under body related things. So we should know, or we should follow this syntax and flow of the HTML pages. So next we will learn all the related tags, as well as what are the related tags into our header, as well as the headings, as well as the body, and we will create some exercises. We will do some exercises using those tags, and we will create some HTML pages, and we will see what kind of variation between those tags, and we will see in web pages. Thank you.